When you think of Nintendo, you probably think of their amazing lineup of game franchises. Zelda, Pokémon, Mario, the other games that are in Super Smash Bros. But that's not all they're known for, because most of Nintendo's franchises also make a ton of merchandise. The Pokémon games have made $20 billion, but Pokémon merchandise has made $100 billion. I'm willing to bet that you all at home have some form of merchandise, right? Nintendo merchandise isn't just cheap. They have some expensive products. So what are the most luxurious and expensive products out there? Chat, our goal today is to try and get ahead of the curve. Don't you wish you could go back 20 years and collect a bunch of Pokemon cards and sell them? Do you remember how much those were going for? What Nintendo merchandise is gonna be worth thousands of dollars in a couple years? We're gonna be looking at the most expensive Nintendo products and trying to figure that out. So chat, let me ask you, just straight up. What are the most expensive Nintendo products in the world? It's Pokemon cards, right? None of us should be surprised about that. About 3 or 4 years ago, Pokemon cards exploded in popularity, with the first edition of cards and very old ones going for hundreds of thousands of dollars, the most famous of which being the first edition base set Charizard. This goes for $300,000 to $400,000, which is nuts. This guy on eBay is selling over 100 PSA 10 Charizards, and the listed price is $21 million. If you're looking to spend $21 million, I cannot imagine that the first place you are looking is on eBay, right? Even the beta Pokemon cards, like this beta Chansey card, which is just a bunch of scribbles, is listed at $200,000. When I was a kid, my mom used to give us Pokemon cards for mowing the lawn, and it was the first edition fossil set. I could have sold a single one of those packs for like $20,000 now. And I think about that at night all the time. The Pokemon trend was kicked off by this guy. Yeah, we love talking about him. Logan Paul in 2020 began spending huge amounts of money on Pokemon cards and making content out of it, which as you can see, did very, very well, which naturally inspired a bunch of other content creators to start doing this. Because all of these millionaires started throwing out hundreds of thousands of dollars for Pokemon cards, the prices soared, which essentially reached two peaks. The first was Logan Paul getting scammed, which in hindsight is hilarious. The second thing was that Logan Paul set the record for the most expensive Pokemon purchase in the world for this Illustrator Pikachu card, which he wore around his neck in a WWE fight. Now chat, I ask you all, how much did he spend on this? Logan Paul spent a stupid $5,275,000 on a Pokemon card. This is enough money that you'd never have to work another day in your life. But that's enough about Pokemon cards. What about all the other products Nintendo make? Now, before we get into that, chat, I have a question to pose to you all. What makes something expensive? Nostalgia, rarity, luxury? Here are 3 classic video games. The original Super Mario Bros. For the NES in mint condition, a Nintendo Switch Fortnite, and the Nintendo World Championship cartridge from the 90s, of which less than 1,000 exist. Which of these 3 games sold for the most money? And keep in mind, the Nintendo Switch comes with 1,000 V-Bucks. So kind of a big deal. Well, chat, let me tell you, all of these sold for over $15,000. The Fortnite Switch bundle sold for $15,000. The World Championship cartridge sold for $23,000. And the Super Mario Bros. Game sold for $2 million. Now, you may be thinking, of course, Mario is going to sell for more, but the fact that a Nintendo Switch Fortnite sold for $15,000 is insane. These are not listed prices. These were sold for that much. This is a regular Nintendo Switch. It just had Fortnite on it and included some V-Bucks. Something is expensive because a single person will pay for it. Price is an imaginary number that 2 people agree on, which is the reason, chat, that Flappy Bird drove up the prices of used phones so much. This is a $650 iPhone 5S. When Flappy Bird was installed and they took it off the App Store, These resold for $1 million. Someone paid $1 million for Flappy Bird, which was a free game on the App Store until it was taken down. It's also the reason why these products are worth thousands of dollars, but by no means they should be. This is a 3-foot Eevee plush that was discontinued, sold for $5,000. A miscolored Gengar toy sold for $10,000. And this 4-foot tall Mario statue sold for $9,200. If someone will buy it at that price point, it's worth that much money. I don't think I would pay $100 for any of these, except for maybe the Eevee plush because it's very cute. Now, Nintendo fans are some of the most voracious and crazy obsessive fans out there, so of course they would be willing to spend top dollar for unique merchandise. Nintendo themselves do make some luxury Pokemon products. This is a diamond encrusted Mario worth $3.4 thousand, and this is a Tiffany branded Pikachu necklace with diamonds embedded in it that sells for $30,000. This is a real Nintendo product. It's insane. And frankly, it doesn't even look that good. You're out in the rain and it's your anniversary. Your significant other bends down. You've been together for years. You've been talking about moving on to next steps of spending your life together. They get on one knee, look you deep in the eyes, tell you that they love you, and they pull out the $4,500 official Pokemon engagement ring. How could you not say yes, chat? You can choose from 18 designs for both sides. That means there's more than 1,200 combinations. The fact that you'd make a Pokemon engagement ring is so funny because you know someone has bought this. What's special about the ring? It has a Pikachu on it. That's it. But that's not the only luxury products that Nintendo makes, because I introduced to you solid gold Wii consoles worth $500,000 and $300,000 respectively. These are real. These are real things made by two different people. The first one is the Nintendo Wii Supreme, which was created by Stuart Hughes, a British luxury designer. It is made of solid 22 karat gold, and all the buttons on the controllers are made of diamonds. Also, what is a luxury designer? Can I ask that? Because it doesn't feel like he designed anything. He just sort of looked at a console and said, make it gold and make it with diamonds. Because if that's all it is, I could do that. I'll quit YouTube and I'll become a luxury designer. The second Wii was made for the Queen of England. This was a gift from Nintendo to the Queen of England because supposedly she loved Wii bowling. Queen Elizabeth II played the shit out of Wii Sports, and so they gifted her a golden Wii. And she said no. She didn't want it. Eventually, it kept changing hands until it sold for a couple $100,000, and experts valued it at $1 million. Now, chat, that's not all you can do, because some people want Nintendo in every aspect of their lives, and you can pay to have your house or apartment remodeled with official Pokemon merchandise. This apartment has 5 rooms. 2 bedrooms, a living room, and 2 baths. And it even includes this little nap parlor. Okay, listen, chat. I love Pokemon. I do. I'm not looking at Pokemon while I'm on the can. I am not trying to make eye contact with Pikachu while I am doing my private business. That's weird. But if you did want to do this, it would only cost you $65,000 to remodel your entire apartment with Pokemon merchandise. Which sounds expensive until you realize that there's an official Pokemon hotel in Japan, or Pokemon themed rooms. This is the Mamoru Hotel, and they have an official Pokemon suite, which costs you $315 a night. And if we take the $65,000 it would cost to remodel our own home, that would only get you 207 nights at the hotel. So, you know, remodeling your apartment doesn't seem so bad now. There's more to living a Nintendo lifestyle, because it's not all about Pokemon. One of the coolest products I found while doing research was this actual Zorax guitar. This is made by a huge guitar company, and it's meant to mimic the bone guitar you have in Legend of Zelda when Link transforms into a Zora. You can actually get this guitar. It's $10,000, which isn't too expensive as far as electric guitars are concerned. Or if you wanted, you could buy a Mario arcade machine. If you've been to a Round 1 or a local arcade in the past couple years, you've probably seen one of these. It's only $28,000, which is pretty bad, but gets worse when you see how expensive it is to replace the parts for it. This is a 1/4-inch shaft thing, and it is $40 a piece. It's so expensive to replace parts for it. Chat, I'm gonna ask you all right now, how much is this level 50 Pokemon Go account? This was sold on eBay. This wasn't listed. Someone bought this. They sold this for $8,500. It's nowhere near the most expensive thing on this list, but this is a free-to-play game. The point of the game is to play it. Buying a completed account seems like such a waste. Chat, you could even buy a Pokemon car. These are 2 real cars made in collaboration with the Pokemon Company. This is a Pikachu Volkswagen Beetle and a Lugia PT Cruiser. Chat, how much do these cars cost? These were both made in collaboration to advertise different movies. This one being made to advertise the second, and this one being made to advertise the third Pokemon movie. The Pikachu car is worth $8,000, while the Lugia PT Cruiser is worth $20,000, which, for a used car, isn't like the worst price in the world. Now, it is worth noting that both of these cars are owned by the same content creator, which is kind of sick. I think only 10 of the Pikachu car were ever made and 5 of the Lugia car. Kind of interesting though, right? Like, this is not unaffordable. It's definitely a purchase. Like, if I went to my friend's house and I saw this, I would judge them a little. Chat, because let's talk about nostalgia. Obviously, older things will sell for more if they're very close to someone's heart, if it's tied to their childhood memories. If they go on to be rich, they might go to spend a ton of money on fucking Pokemon cards. Again, we're back to it. The only reason Pokemon cards blew up in popularity is because they are nostalgic to people. People had them when they were kids, and it's kind of cool to relive that now that you're a rich adult. And it's not just cards, because games go for a lot too. The Super Mario game from earlier is the most expensive video game ever sold, but these are not far behind it, with this original Super Mario 64 game selling for $1.56 million, Legend of Zelda $870,000, and Super Mario World for $360,000. Surprisingly, Pokemon games do not sell for as much. The most expensive I could find was the original Pokemon Red in mint condition, selling for $36,000. Is Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn for the Wii? I still have all the instructions and everything. This is worth like $120 now. Now, there are other nostalgic things. It doesn't just have to be games or cards. This is a prototype Nintendo 64 that sells for $16,500. This is a pocket watch that had to do with the Nintendo magazine, which ran for 15 years. And at the 100th issue, they gave out these watches to employees. This sold for $3,000. This bronze Squirtle statue, which was given out for one of the first Pokemon card tournaments for third placers, sold for $51,000 at auction. I'm willing to bet that the person who bought it didn't even enter Pokemon tournaments as a kid, but the nostalgia for it is so strong anyways. And this goes for consoles too. The Nintendo 64 Pikachu edition sold for $5,000, and this limited edition Zelda Game Boy Advance SP sold for $18,000. But Chad, then we have to ask ourselves, if these Pokemon products are worth that much, what is the most expensive? Pokemon cards sold for $5 million. This is worth 20 times that. This is worth $100 million. Chat, the most expensive Pokemon product in the world is a Pokemon plane. They make Pokemon planes. It's cute, right? These exist all over Asia and in Hawaii. Most of them are Boeing 737s, which are manufactured for $106 million. But the ones that go to China, they made a little bit more expensive, and are, I think, A321 planes with branded Pokemon are manufactured for $129.5 million. There are a couple dozen of these around the world. Most of them fly very short distances. The ones in China just fly within China. There are ones in Japan that only fly within Japan. They don't go overseas. It is a luxury Pokemon experience. You can actually use the HM Fly. They sell merchandise of the planes on board the planes too. Chat, I think it's fair to say of the dozens of people here, you know, there's about 100 people here. None of us are gonna own a plane anytime soon, right? So let me ask you all, chat. What's next? The Pokemon card craze has ended. All of our classic Pokemon cards have been sold, and we made no money. But 20 years from now, what else is gonna be expensive and sell well that we can have right now? Let's go out and get it. Let's get in on this beforehand. I would guess that a lot of the classic masterpieces that are coming out now are going to be worth much more in mint condition. And it's already happened. These are 3 mint edition copies of Breath of the Wild, but they all sold for the same amount, despite these 2 being the much more luxury editions, the collector's editions. These sold last year for $1,300 and were bought 8 years ago for $60. The introduction of digital sales have not changed this a bit. That's just games though. What about merchandise? Amiibos. I guarantee it. If I had to bet money, Amiibos are gonna blow up in 20 years. Once they stop manufacturing these, if you can still get them packaged, if you can still find them, they're gonna sell for so much. When people start to get nostalgic for Animal Crossing, oh yeah, these are gonna go. But there's more. Any sort of unique merchandise, Super Mario Wonder Collector's Editions, stuff from the Nintendo theme parks, they can't make these for long. Once they change it out, in 10-15 years, there's gonna be a ton of nostalgia for it. Those might shoot up in price if they're well remembered enough. Worst comes to worst though. It's back to fucking Pokemon cards. Buy Pokemon cards now. Put them in a storage unit. Bet on Gen Alpha. When Gen Alpha becomes rich, we'll sell it back to them, chat. We will. We can do it. It'll work.